Today, we're diving into a story that I think a lot of us can relate to. It's about what it feels like to be in your 30s, working your tail off, and still feeling, well, broke. It really gets at this idea of what happens when just working harder doesn't seem to be enough anymore.
I mean, just let that sink in for a second. How is anyone supposed to put away 10% when 100% isn't enough to survive? This question, right here, is the absolute core of the story we're exploring today. It's that feeling of being on a hamster wheel, running as fast as you can just to stay put. It's the perfect way to frame this whole struggle.
All right, so let's meet our main character. We'll call him WJ. He's a bus driver, and his life is basically a constant battle with his bank account. You know that feeling? He's living on the edge, where just one flat tire or an unexpected bill could send everything tumbling down.
And the first major enemy? You guessed it, rent! That massive chunk of money that just disappears from your account on the first of the month. For WJ, it's not just a line item on a budget, it's this relentless drain he calls stupid rent, and you can totally see why. And it doesn't stop there, right? After the big hit from rent, it's death by 1,000 cuts. A coffee here, a subway ride there, boom, another $50, just gone. It's that awful feeling of watching your money just vanish into thin air for the privilege of just existing. It's a constant, sinking feeling of defeat. So what's the standard advice you always hear? Oh, it's so easy. Just, save at least 10% of your income. And hey, while you're at it, just increase your income. Simple. I mean, come on. As WJ puts it, this is stupid rich people advice. It's so out of touch because it starts from the assumption that you have extra money just lying around. But for him and for so many others, 100% of his income is already gone before he even has a chance to think about saving.
Okay, so just when he's feeling at his lowest, something happens. He gets an invite to a reunion with some old friends. And you know how that can be. For WJ, this isn't exciting news. It's stressful. Because it's not just a party, it's a direct confrontation with the massive financial gap that's grown between him and the people he grew up with. And here's a little detail that really twists the knife. The host, one of his buddies, is paying for everything. All the food, all the drinks. On the surface, that sounds super generous, right? But for WJ, it just makes things worse. It's this glaring reminder that he can't even afford to buy a round of drinks with his own friends. He's basically a charity case in a world he feels like he doesn't belong to anymore.
So, against his better judgment, he goes. And man, the contrast is immediate and it is brutal. He's standing there, probably calculating how much the Uber ride home is going to cost, while his friends are all high-fiving each other, talking about their killer jobs in law and finance, just celebrating the crazy money they're all pulling in. It's like two different universes colliding in one living room.
And let's just put some numbers on this because it's pretty staggering. You've got WJ, the bus driver, making $3,000 a month. Then you have his friends pulling in $10,000, maybe even $14,000 a month. This isn't just a gap, it's a chasm. They're living in completely different economic realities, but they're supposed to be catching up over some drinks.
And just when you think it can't get any more uncomfortable, it does. One of his finance friends casually mentions that he owns stock in low-budget transit. Yeah, the very company WJ drives for. And then he drops this line, as a joke. Technically, that makes me your boss. Wow. Can you just imagine how that lands? It's supposed to be funny, but it's a total gut punch.
But here is the absolute kicker, the detail that changes everything. That stock, it earns his friend $3,000 a month, purely as passive income. That's money he makes in his sleep, just by owning something. And that number, $3,000, is the exact same amount of money that WJ earns for driving a bus full-time for an entire month of grueling, exhausting work. Let that sink in.
So later on, the conversation gets a little philosophical. Someone throws out that old saying, money can't buy happiness. And without missing a beat, WJ's finance friend just scoffs and says this. That's broke people talk. Oof. In just 4 words, he shows how completely and totally disconnected their worlds really are.
Well, after a night like that, WJ just breaks. He hits rock bottom. The party, the comments, that jaw-dropping reality about the passive income, it all just comes crashing down on him. And this isn't just about being poor anymore. It's this deep, heavy feeling of being left behind by life itself.
And this is the thought that's running through his head. It's so raw, so honest. I'm on level 0 of life in my 30s. How can I build something without a foundation? I mean, think about that. How are you supposed to build a house, a career, a family, when you don't even have the ground to build it on?
And this isn't just some abstract feeling, right? It has real, soul-crushing consequences. You want to date someone? That costs money. You want to just hang out with your friends? That costs money too. So forget a love life, forget a social life. Every single avenue for human connection feels like it's behind a paywall. He's completely and utterly trapped.
But you know, sometimes hitting rock bottom is the best thing that can happen to you, because there's nowhere to go but up. And for WJ, this moment of total despair, it lights a fire. The pain of staying where he is finally becomes greater than the fear of trying something new. He knows he has to do something.
So he sets a new goal: find a side job. But look at the constraints he's working with. Whatever he does, it has to seriously increase his income. No chump change. It can't have any upfront investment costs because he has zero cash, and it has to be something he can physically do on top of his already demanding full-time job. That's a really tall order.
And that's where we leave WJ's story for now. But it brings us to a much bigger question, doesn't it? His struggle is personal, yeah, but it points to this massive issue in our society. When the wealth gap gets this wide, when one person can make another person's entire salary without even getting out of bed, is working harder really the answer? Can one person really climb out of that hole on their own? Or is the whole game just set up differently for different people? It's definitely something to think about.